Once upon a time, in the magical kingdom of Everglow, there lived a beautiful princess named Aria. She lived in a grand castle made of sparkling crystal and gold that echoed with the laughter of children and the melodies of court musicians. The princess was known throughout the land not just for her looks, but also for her courage and her unfailingly kind heart. Every morning, Arya would wake up with the sun and walk through the royal gardens that surrounded the castle. As she strolled among the blooming flowers, she would greet them with a smile and a kind word. The flowers, as if understanding her gentle touch, would respond by unfurling their petals and filling the air with sweet fragrances. She would also spend hours playing with the little birds that loved her dearly. They would perch on her shoulders and fingers, singing and chirping in appreciation of the princess's sweet voice. One evening, as the sun began its slow descent and the sky blazed with hues of gold and crimson, a strange shadow suddenly fell over the kingdom. The usually vibrant colors of the world seemed to dim, and a chill wind swept through the land, rustling the leaves and making the flowers droop. Alarmed, Arya ran to her mother, the queen, who was as beautiful and graceful as ever, but her face was creased with worry. "Mother, what's wrong?" asked Arya, her voice filled with concern. The queen turned to her daughter, her eyes filled with sadness. "Oh, my dear Arya," she began, her voice trembling slightly, "the crystal of light, it's gone." She explained that the crystal of light, which hung from the highest tower of the castle, had been stolen by Morgana, a dark sorceress who lived deep in the Shadowlands. This crystal was the source of their kingdom's magic, and without it, Everglow would plunge into eternal darkness, and Morgana intended to use its power for her own evil purposes. Determined to save her kingdom, Arya knew she had to act fast. Without the crystal of light, the kingdom would soon be enveloped in darkness, and the people would suffer. With a determined nod, Arya mounted her horse, a magnificent white steed named Luna, and rode out of the castle. As she ventured deeper into the forest, the trees seemed to close in around her, their branches intertwined, forming a dark tunnel overhead. The playful songs of the birds were replaced by an eerie silence, broken only by the sound of her own horse's hooves on the forest floor. Suddenly, a pair of glowing eyes emerged from the darkness, and with a low growl, a massive shadow wolf lunged out, blocking her path. Its fur was as black as night, and its teeth glistened like daggers in the gloom. But instead of being frightened, Arya remembered the stories her mother used to tell her about the shadow wolves. They were known to be fierce and independent, but they also had a strong sense of justice. Taking a deep breath, Arya raised her hand, and in a voice as clear as a mountain stream, she began to sing a song of courage and hope. Her voice echoed through the silent forest, reaching out to the very soul of the shadow wolf. As the last notes faded away, the wolf, seeming to understand her words, dipped its head in acknowledgement and stepped aside, allowing Arya to pass. After what felt like hours, although it may have only been minutes, Arya finally emerged from the dark forest and found herself standing before a cave shrouded in mist and shadows. This, according to the Old Owl, was the Cave of Shadows, where Morgana had hidden the Crystal of Light. Taking a moment to steady her nerves, Arya stepped into the cave. And there before her, amidst a swirling vortex of darkness, stood Morgana, her silhouette outlined against a faint glow. In her hand, she held the Crystal of Light, and a wicked smile played on her lips. With a wave of her hand, Morgana unleashed a blast of dark energy towards Arya. But the princess, though surprised, was not afraid. Raising her arms, she called upon the power of the Crystal of Light, and a surge of brilliant energy erupted from her, pushing back the darkness. The cave echoed with the clash of opposing forces as Arya and Morgana's powers collided. But as the dust settled, Arya realized that brute force alone might not be enough to defeat such a powerful sorceress. She needed a different strategy. Then, remembering the stories of old, Arya began to sing. Her voice, pure and strong, rang out through the cave, filling it with a radiant light that seemed to weaken Morgana's hold over the Crystal of Light. The cave trembled, and with a final surge of power, the crystal burst forth from Morgana's grasp and floated towards Arya as the Crystal of Light returned to her. Arya knew that Morgana, drained of power, would not stand a chance against her now. With a triumphant smile, Arya left the cave, carrying the Crystal of Light back to the kingdom of Everglow. And so, thanks to Princess Arya's bravery, kindness, and unwavering spirit, the kingdom was saved from eternal darkness. And as the Crystal of Light resumed its place above the castle, bathing the land in its warm glow, the people of Everglow celebrated their princess, hailing her as their true hero.